च मानं च ततेन्द्रियाणि दानं च मानं च ततेन्द्रियाणि प्राणं सहृत्वा मम सर्वमेव प्राणं सहृत्वा मम सर्व एव फलस्य कुत्र धृतोऽध्यचौर्य फलस्य कुत्र धृतोऽध्यचौर त्वं भक्तिदाम्नसि मया निरुद्ध त्वं भक्तिदाम्नसि मया निरुद्ध चिनत्सि घोरं यमपाशबन्धम् चिनसि घोरं यमपाशबन्धं विनास्ति भीमं भवपाशबन्धं विनास्ति भीमं भवपाशबन्धं चिनसि सर्वस्य समस्तबन्धं चिनसि सर्वस्य समस्तबन्धं नैवात्मनो भक्तकृतं तु बन्धं नैवात्मनो भक्तकृतं तु बन्धं मनुमानसे कामसरसि घोरे मनुमानसे तामसरसि घोरे कारागृहे दुःखमये निबद्धा कारागृहे दुःखमये निबद्धा लभस्व हे चोर हरे चिराये लभस्व हे चोर हरे चिराये स्वचौर्यदोषितमेव दण्डं स्वचौर्यदोषितमेव दण्डम् कारागृहे वस सदा हृदये मदीये मद्भक्तिपाशदृढबन्धन निश्चलासन् त्वां कृष्ण हे प्रणयकोटिशतान्तरेऽपि सर्वस्वचोर हृदयं नहि मोचयामि सर्वस्वचोर हृदयं नहि मोचयामि सर्वस्वचोर हृदयं नहि मोचयामि। Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for the wonderful Kirtan. Dandavat Pranam, Suraj Chandrika Mataji. Hare Krishna. Over to you, Mataji.
Okay. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Yo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayara Ramadhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guru Shri Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadhamayam Dadanti Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutaha Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavascha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakamitam Syahe Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanustute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktarinda Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Vedanta Swaminiti Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshadari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayana Namaskrityam Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudita Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtuke Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namah. Hare Krishna dear devotees. Welcome back to our regular Srimad Bhagavatam session. Today we will be reading from Canto 3, Chapter 1. Vidura asks questions, and text 20 to 24, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. 5 verses will cover. So I'll just share my screen. All right. Anusuya Mataji, 3:120.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhamma.
Dandavat.
Ittam Rajan Ratam Eva Varsham Kale Nayava Gatavat Prabhasam Tavat Chashasha Shitim Eka Chakram Ekata Patram Ajitena Partha. Translation by Srila Prabhupada Bhuje. Thus, when he was in the land of Bharatavarsha, traveling to all the places of pilgrimage, he visited Prabhasa Kshetra At that time, Maharaja Yudhishthira was the emperor and held the world under one military strength and one flag.
Okay. Hare Krishna. So, see, now what has happened? Now where we are is Vidura has left the palace of Hastinapura and he's traveling to all the places of pilgrimage. 1 second, I'm not able to see anybody. Why? Okay. You are able to see me, no?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. What happened? Anyways, okay. I'll see my screen at least. Okay. So otherwise, generally I see those who raise their hands. Now I can see that strip. I'm not able to see it today. I don't know why.
Mataji, do you want me to make you host?
No, that is not the issue. Here some setting kuch hoga like that.
I'll help you out, Mataji.
हाँ,
Just,
next
this
हाँ,
one.
हाँ,
No
हाँ,
problem.
ठीक है, no
Sure.
problem. So where we are is Vidura is traveling to various places of pilgrimage after leaving Hastinapura. And eventually he will meet Maitreya Muni. Now about this, in the first canto, there is a mention already where it is told that during that situation where Dhritarashtra leaves home, in that context, it is told that after that Vidura leaves Hastinapura palace. No, after he has come back from his pilgrimage, during that mention, he has come back from his pilgrimage because he was in discussion with Maitreya Muni, and in between he leaves the pilgrimage site and he has come back to Hastinapura. So there is already a mention that Vidura had left home and visited different places of pilgrimage and had met Maitreya Muni also. Also, in the second canto, Shukadeva Goswami and later Suta Goswami gives an elaborate description of the cosmic manifestation, which is nothing but the manifestation of the supremacy of the Supreme Lord. The sages of Naimisharanya were very properly consciously hearing it, but at the end they really wanted to dive deep into the transcendental discussions, so they kind of interrupted Suta Goswami and says that, and they ask, then what exactly happened when Vidura was traveling to the different places of pilgrimage? How did he meet Maitreya Muni and how did that discussions go on? So the point is, the pure devotees of the Lord are very much keen and want to consciously listen and discuss and hear the transcendental topics of the pure devotees of the Lord as well as the Supreme Lord. So that is what the consciousness of a pure devotee is. And the Srimad Bhagavatam is a very, very beautiful and a very elaborate scripture which helps or which discusses in detail about all the transcendental topics. Like the Srimad Bhagavatam is made in such a way that when it comes to the mention of the different people in the different dynasties, like for example, if it is Dhruva Maharaj, before coming to Dhruva's pastime, there are many chapters in the Srimad Bhagavatam that tells that who were the ancestors, then they had 2 children and they had children and names of those children, and then their forefathers and their children. So that time Srimad Bhagavatam moves faster when it comes to the mention of the dynasties and the people in the dynasties like that. But when it comes to a place where there is a discussion about the pure devotee, that is when the Dhruva's pastime actually comes, then Bhagavatam zooms in, because that time it goes in detail and goes slower so that the reader can encapsulate the essence of the entire story or entire pastime, we can say. So similarly, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are numerous scenes, like numerous triggers, situations, and there are so many lessons to be learned. Like for example, the Kumaras that will come in the third canto only. The Kumaras go to Vaikunta and they curse Jaya Vijaya. Then how Lord Narayana comes out. Just that is one scene, and there are so many lessons from there. So there are many, like Prathu Maharaj, that comes in the fourth canto. Prathu Maharaj wanted to do 1,000 horse sacrifice, and how after 99 sacrifices, Indra interrupts, and how much he tried his hard through various wrong means to stop Prathu Maharaj from performing the 100th sacrifice. And at the end, Vishnu comes to Prathu and says that it's okay, you just give up. And Prathu Maharaj happily gave up. So there are innumerable lessons to be learned. Like that, there are many situations and scenes that happen in Srimad Bhagavatam, and then it opens up for so many lessons and understandings. Just that we should, similarly, is the situation where apparently Vidura is insulted by Duryodhana, and Vidura leaves home. So this is one scene, but there are so many lessons. There are so many internal reasons, so many external reasons for the entire thing to happen. And so when we are when you're looking for the essence in the Srimad Bhagavatam, when we read it with that kind of a love and that kind of enthusiasm, under guidance of a pure devotee of the Lord, when we are eager to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam, hear or get into the mysteries of the Srimad Bhagavatam, that time the Srimad Bhagavatam reveals itself. And that is what is called as Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Seva. When we say Nityam Bhagavata Seva, what we are looking into the words from the words of the Srimad Bhagavatam, so that we have a change in our heart, we have something in our devotional practice to be imbibed, and that way how we can make our life perfect. When we are looking for that in the Srimad Bhagavatam reveals it to us through the examples of the various devotees, and that is the time it enlightens our consciousness also, and that is Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu. And most of the Abhadra thing is lust, greed and anger. These are the basis for everything else, and everything else manifests from that. And so we can get deep realizations from the pages of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So similarly, when Parikshit Maharaj was hearing from Shukadeva Goswami, when that Vidura Maitreya topic comes, and when Vidura leaves Hastinapur, when that topic comes, he really becomes very enthusiastic. Although he was already cursed, and he was due to die in 7 days, and already 1 or 2 days are over, and still his enthusiasm is as fresh as it was, without food or water, day and night. And then he wants to know more about, like, what kind of what did Vidura do in the different places of pilgrimage, then what did he how did he meet the different sages, what exactly happened. So that is the enthusiasm. So like suppose there is a millionaire, and so people are interested to know about him, to hear from him. That should be our that is the consciousness of a pure devotee also, to always hear the topics about pure devotees, to hear topics about the Supreme Lord, to hear from the pure devotees of the Lord. Here Maharaj Parikshit is inquiring from Shukadev Goswami, and similarly later the sages of Naimisharanya are inquiring from Suta Goswami. So that is a pattern that follows. So now when it comes to Vidura leaving Hastinapura, we have already read through the different verses previously that Vidura, otherwise the point of Vidura leaving Hastinapura was just a situation. It was not that is the reason for Vidura to leave home, because Vidura is none other than Mahajan, Yamaraj Mahajan, and during his because Yamaraj, his service is only to punish the people of this material world, because that is he is serving the Supreme Lord by taking up that kind of service. and he's so exhausted, and he really prays to the Lord that please give me an opportunity where I can really focus on your transcendental pastimes, on your transcendental inquiries and discussions. And then there is a situation that happens that already has been covered, where Manduka Muni curses him to be born in the Shudra family, like that. And then we have know the story of in how Hastinapura, Vyasdev impregnates Ambalika and not Ambika and Ambalika, and then one Shudrani also, the maid servant of Hastinapura. And so Vidura is the son of the maid servant, but nonetheless his father is Vedavyas, so he's completely very intelligent and very sincere, and he's like one of the brothers of the gurus, that is Dhritarashtra, Pandu, Dhritarashtra, and Vidura. They are like three brothers only. And Vidura was always trying to protect the kingdom of Hastinapura, and he was always giving good advice to Dhritarashtra. The main difference between Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana is Dhritarashtra knew Vidura was his well-wisher. He knew Vidura was a good counselor. He knew that whatever Vidura says is right. He knew Vidura is uh, trying. He's my true well-wisher, and he wants my to my well-being. But Duryodhana always considered Vidura as his enemy. He always thought that Vidura was on the side of the Pandavas, and he was not wishing well for them. That was the main difference between Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana. But the problem with Dhritarashtra, what happens is, although he was getting the right counsel and the right time always, and although he knew Vidura was his well-wisher, but he always was too overly attached to his blood relation. He was overly attached to the Kauravas. He was overly attached to his son Duryodhan. Although he knew that Pandavas were much better in character and they were more competitive in ruling the kingdom of Hastinapura, still because of his overly attachment to his sons, although he tried hard, one thing is he tried hard to protect the wrongs of Duryodhana, plus he wanted to eradicate the Pandavas also. So that both ways he acted, although he knew what is the right thing to do. So in our lives also, every moment we have a choice. And because when we are devotees, we have how to say is, fairly we know that what is right, what is not. Although every moment exactly we may not know, but to a good degree we know what is right, what is not right. And when we are conscious and when we are sincere to make the right choices, by making the right choices continuously, we get liberated. And when we are making the wrong choices, and when the wrong choices are made on very long term always, and if it becomes a habit to make the wrong choices, to do the wrong, and it's just a question of time that we will be completely completely away from devotional service. It's just the question of time. So it is very important to make the right choices. Dhritarashtra was consciously and constantly making the wrong choices that ended up to the destruction of the Kuru dynasty. That was the reason for the destruction of the Kuru dynasty. Also, Vidura, as we were mentioning, so what we were talking is he had prayed to the Supreme Lord to be constantly involved in transcendental service. But when he was born as, when he was being, when he took the responsibilities of the minister of Hastinapura, he was always involved in political affairs, because he had to help in protecting the kingdom. Then he had to give counsel to Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana, and he tried. So he was always involved, and it was not possible for him to dedicate himself to the service of the Supreme Lord. That was not possible for him when he was living in Hastinapur. Although his consciousness was Krishna consciousness, so only when Krishna comes to Hastinapur as the Shanti Duta, he enters into Vidura's home and takes prasad from Vidurani. Although it was a very simple setup which they had, and Vidurani ends up giving banana peel rather than the pulp. So he was Krishna conscious, but he was not able to do devotional service directly because he was so much involved in the administration. So he was always wanting to do that. And when Duryodhana spelled it out on face of the Vidura that to just get out of Hastinapura, he simply grabbed that as an opportunity and just moved out. Absolutely, he did not feel that he was not at all hurt, or he did not even feel remorse. He was kind of looking to move out of Hastinapura, and he was so happy, and he completely dedicated himself in the pilgrimage and in the transcendental service of the Supreme Lord by hearing. Later he meets Maitreya Rishi also. And one more thing which I wanted to tell in this regard is, what were we telling? So again, when we were talking about the devotees wanting to hear more, that is like we were talking how Parikshit Maharaj asks Shukadev Goswami that tell me more about Vidura, what did he do? Similarly, that pattern follows in all the in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam in many places. Like for example, Narad Muni. Narad Muni, what he did is in the 4th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, if we see in the 1st canto, Vyasadeva meets Narad Muni meets Vyasadeva when Vyasadeva was in the lamentation because he was not feeling happiness from within. Although he had written the so much Vedas, he had made the 4 Vedas, then he had written the Mahabharata, all that. So all that we know. And in that context, when their meeting of Narada and Vedavyas happens, Narada in very short, he says that in last life, I was a son of a maid servant and I served the Bhakti Vedantis, like that. So that ends in the 4th chapter. So in the 5th chapter, Vedavyas again asks Narada Muni, so exactly how did that happen? What way, how were you as a son of the maid servant, and what happened, and how you became Narad Muni? How did you serve the Bhakti Vedantis? So the point is, the great devotees want to know more and more about the transcendental, about the lives of other pure devotees and how they connected with the Supreme Lord. So this is something we should always remember and imbibe, because uh, uh, in the process of Krishna consciousness, we need to be attached to the scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam, and we need to hear that from the mouth of pure devotees, or we should discuss among ourselves who are sincere in their approach, and need to take guidance accordingly. So that is one. So now we are in the 20th verse, and in the 17th verse before that we see that uh, it is told that Vidura had gone to the different places of pilgrimage for his own purification. So now Vidura is a pure devotee. What is the kind of purification he was looking for? Means there is something called a spiritual purification and material purification, or more than purification, piety, material piety and spiritual piety. To gain more piety, he went, like that it is told. So he was materially, he was already pious. So only he was in a very elevated position in Hastinapura. So that way it was taken care of. To build up his spiritual piety, what is building up spiritual piety? How can we build up our spiritual piety? When we are involved in discussion of the transcendental topics of the Supreme Lord. Here, starting from Shravanam, Kirtanam, and Namavidha Bhakti, when we involve ourselves, and that way we are in association of devotees, that is the time we can actually develop our increase our spiritual piety. And also in the regard that when Vidura just was looking for a thing, for a kind of situation, just to leave home, and he was very happily just moved out. Same in our Srila Prabhupada's life also, if we see, he got instruction from his spiritual master in 1922, very first time when he met his guru, his divine grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, that go to the Western world and and preach in the English language. But Srila Prabhupada, 20 to 23 years only, he got married, and then he became a father of very small children, 4-5 children he had. So he was in his grihastha life. So he was always consciously thinking about this instruction from a spiritual master. He was constantly thinking, and he really wanted to act upon it, but he had to support his family also. So he tried to establish business in Allahabad, later in Mumbai, and time and again it was not being very successful. And he really was looking forward from support from his family members in terms of growing spiritually. That is, he really wanted to devote his time for spirituality. In that sense, he wanted support, and he was looking for support from his family members. But unfortunately, he was not getting. Even though he was not getting, he was still dedicated for his family, and so he was trying hard for that. And then a situation kind of arises wherein his manuscripts were missing in the house. And then when he talks to his wife, she says, it is told in the Lilamrita that she says that she gave it away to buy some tea biscuits, something like that. So that was the turning point for Srila Prabhupada, wherein he asks his wife that, you want tea or you want me? And she says tea. And so it is not necessarily that just because of that statement he went away from the house and took sannyas. That meditation was always there. He always wanted to serve fully dedicatedly to the mission, or he wanted to take up that as a mission which his spiritual master had instructed him. And when this situation happened, he just moved out, like in case of Vidura. So that is the consciousness of devotees of the Lord. Actually, that is the consciousness. So we will come to this. Okay, and in the previous verses also, it is also told that how Vidura, in the places of pilgrimage, he performed all the duties that are supposed to be done in as a pilgrim and not as a sightseer. That all the lakshanas of a person who is on a pilgrimage was completely satisfied by Vidura, and he was visiting all Vishnu temples. And another interesting thing is, Vidura could have gone to Dwaraka directly and met Lord Krishna. When he came out of Hastinapura, he could have gone to Dwaraka directly. But he felt that because he had served the envious Dhritarashtra, and he was in association with the Duryodhana and company, he felt that he was actually not pure yet. He felt that because of his humility, he felt that he was not yet pure and he needs to purify himself. So in that purpose, he decides to go to pilgrimage to various places and worship the Lord there, purify himself, and then meet the Supreme Lord directly. So with that idea, he goes to the different places of pilgrimage. That is also something to be noted, that how the pure devotees consider themselves. Because we, after not doing anything much, we feel that we are already pure. But the pure devotees of the Lord always feel that they are so much humble that they feel that they are not qualified. So in this particular verse, it has reached that in the land of Bharatvarsha, traveling to different places, he visits Prabhasa Kshetra. And Prabhasa Kshetra, where it is located? It is located in Gujarat. It is between Somnath and Dwaraka and Somnath, almost towards Somnath. This Prabhasa Kshetra is there. And okay, more than who will read? I can't see. Anybody wants to read purport? Mataji, Meenakshi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, can I read?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, purport.
Yeah.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. More than 5,000 years ago, while Saint Vidura was traveling the earth as a pilgrim, India was known as Bharatavarsha. As it is known even today, the history of the world cannot give any systematic account for more than 3,000 years into the past. But before that, the whole world was under the flag and military strength of Maharaja Yudhishthira, who was the emperor of the world. At present, there are hundreds and thousands of flags flopping in the United Nations. But during the time of Vidura, there was, by the grace of Ajita, Lord Krishna, only one flag. The nations of the world are very eager to again have one state under one flag. But for this, they must seek the favor of Lord Krishna, who alone can help us become one worldwide nation. Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada is so optimistic. He is like everybody wants that one flag to fly, not many, and that can happen only by the favor of Lord Krishna. So he is telling the entire world should be Krishna conscious. Then only it is possible, which is very true. And which is very true, and so the reign of the personality of Yudhishthira was also so great, and so only when we are talking about making the right choices, it was not easy for Pandavas to make the right choice always, but because they were they always respected my brother Yudhishthira. He was the eldest of them. And there were so many cases. Bhima was very angry. Arjuna was bewildered, confused that why should we do what we are doing. But Yudhishthira was very clear. And because they were all under the guidance and direct protection of the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. That is there. And Yudhishthira was very clear in what he wants to do, which is the right thing to do. He never wavered. So, but because they followed Yudhishthira and in turn followed Lord Shri Krishna, they always made the right choices, and they ended up making right choices. It was not very easy for them, and because of conscious and constant right choices, they came out victorious. And because Yudhishthira was an able king to bring the entire world under one flag, that is the reason. Because that helps in establishing dharma. That is the reason Krishna was insisting, or he told Arjuna that why it is necessary for him to fight the Kurukshetra war. And that is the reason Bhagavad Gita came out also, because king like Yudhishthira had to be the emperor of the world to bring back dharma. And here Prabhupada says that United Nations is making so much of effort, but that is possible only when everybody is Krishna conscious, and that is a possible. Otherwise, it is not possible. Like that from first case. We'll go to the next one. I can't see who is raising their hands. Next
Chandana
one.
Mataji, please read.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
One second. I'll just.
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, 21.
Okay, Mataji. तत्राथ शुश्राव सुहृद्विनष्टिं वनं यथा वेणुजवह्नि संश्रयं संस्पर्धाधया दग्धम् अतानुशोचं सरस्वतीं प्रत्यगीयाय तूष्णीं. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. At the place of pilgrimage at Prabhasa, it came to his knowledge that all his relatives had died due to violent passion, just as an entire forest burns due to fire produced by the friction of bamboos. After this, he proceeded west, where the river Saraswati flows.
You read the purport also.
Okay, Mata. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Both the Kauravas and the Yadavas were relatives of Vidura, and Vidura heard of their extinction due to fratricidal war. The comparison of the friction of forest bamboos to that of passionate human societies is appropriate. The whole world is compared to a forest. At any moment, there may be a flare-up of fire in the forest due to friction. No one goes to the forest to set it on fire, but due to only to friction between bamboos, fire takes place and burns on entire forest. Similarly, in the greater forest of worldly transactions, The fire of war takes place because of the violent passion of the conditioned souls illusioned by the external energy. Such a worldly fire can be extinguished only by the water of the mercy cloud of saints, just as a forest fire can be extinguished only by rains falling from clouds. Thank you,
So
Mataji.
it is here, it is very appropriate. Samsara Davanala. When we sing the Guru Ashtakam in the morning, Samsara Davana, that Samsara, this material world is like a Davana, like a forest fire. And there is no reason. Suddenly we may be feeling very that I will not fight. I will not get angry. I will be peaceful. We will feel and we don't want to fight, but fight comes. Suddenly something that is just by friction. That is the conditioned, that is conditioning. That is called as material world. And how can the samsara davanala can be extinguished? By Guru Kripa, by the mercy of the spiritual master, which is like a cloud which can pour water and can only devour the forest fire. Otherwise, with pipe water, we cannot devour the forest fire. So forest fire comes on its own and it can be extinguished only by cloud. That is, in this material world, there is bound to be clashes because samsara dava nala, and by taking by seeking shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, it is possible to move ahead in this material world. One thing. Second thing is, here it is told that one thing is now Vidura, when he left Hastinapura, everybody was alive. And suddenly in Prabhasa, he comes to know that entire Yadus are extinguished. Entire. No one was left. What kind of a shock Vidura would have got through. And then, so the purpose here is very important to know that Yadus, now for Yadus, Krishna, the Dwaraka was built for Yadus overnight. Just for the Yadus, Dwaraka was built, and it was Krishna's personal desire to kind of a situation, a conflict was raised, a conflict was created, and a passionate conflict was created. The purpose was Krishna did not want any Yadus to continue living after, because he wanted to perform his he wanted to close his pastimes, that Maushala Leela he wanted to enact soon. Before that, he removed all the Yadus because he did not want anybody to say that I am from the Krishna's family and be proud, or that Vamshaj of, he did not want it like that. So first he eradicated all the Yadus, and then he also closed his pastimes. So that was the internal reason, but otherwise, so sometimes conflicts happen. So conflicts for conditional souls happens due to one's passion, one's desire to want things. But sometimes conflicts are raised, but that is the desire of the Supreme Lord. It is a desire, in this case, it is a desire of the Supreme Lord for the conflict to raise, because he had a purpose, and apparently it looked like Yadus fought with a passionate attitude. So that is the understanding here. We'll move ahead. Yeah. Mataji, next one.
Divya Babu Mataji can read.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Tasyam tritasyo shanasho manuscha prator atagner asitasya vayuho tirtam sudasasya kavam guhasya yakshat devasya sa aashisheve. Translation by His Divine Grace, Aisa Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. On the bank of the river Saraswati, there were 11 places of pilgrimages, namely Trita, Ushana, Manu, Prutu, Agni, Asita, Vayu, Sudasha, Go, Guha, Shraddhadeva. Vidura visited all of them and duly performed rituals. Hare Krishna Mataji.
So here mention of the different places of pilgrimage are given. We will go ahead. Next one, Mataji.
Prashanti Mataji, you can read.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanvat Pranam. Anyani cheha dvijadeva daivai kritani nanayatanani Vishnu Pratyanga Mukyankita Mandirani Yaddarshana Krishnam Anusmaranti. Translation by Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada ki Jai. There were also many other temples of various forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, established by great sages and demigods. These temples are marked with their chief emblems of the Lord, and they reminded one always of the original personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. Shall I read purport, Mataji?
Yeah.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada ki Jai. Human society is divided into four social orders of life and four spiritual divisions, applying to each and every individual person. This system is called Varnashrama Dharma and has already been discussed in many places in this great literature. The sages or persons who completely devoted themselves to the spiritual upliftment of the entire human society were known as Dvijadeva, the best amongst the twice born. The denizens of superior planets from the moon planet and upwards were known as Devas. Both the Dvijadevas and the Devas always established temples of Lord Vishnu in his various forms such as Govinda, Madhusudana, Nrisimha, Madhava, Keshava, Narayana, Padmanabha, Parthasarathi, and many others. The Lord expands himself in innumerable forms, but all of them are not different from one another. Lord Vishnu has four hands, and each hand holds a particular item, either a conch shell, wheel, club, or lotus flower. Of these four emblems, the chakra or wheel is the chief. Lord Krishna, being the original Vishnu form, has only one emblem, namely the wheel, and therefore he is sometimes called the Chakri. The Lord's chakra is the symbol of the power by which the Lord controls the whole manifestation. The tops of Vishnu temples are marked with the symbol of the wheel so that people may have the chance to see the symbol from a very long distance and at once remember Lord Krishna. The purpose of building very high temples is to give people a chance to see them from a distant place. This system is carried on in India whenever a new temple is constructed, and it appears that it is coming down from a time before recorded history. The foolish propaganda by atheists that temples were constructed only in later days is refuted here because Mataji, can you scroll up?
Yes.
One second, Mataji. It appears that it is coming down from a time before recorded history. The foolish propaganda by atheists that temples were constructed only in later days is refuted here because Vidra visited these temples at least 5,000 years ago, and the temples of Vishnu were in existence long, long before Vidra visited them. The great sages and demigods never established statues of men or demigods, but they established temples of Vishnu for the benefit of common men to raise them to the platform of God consciousness. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Danvat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. So quite a few things Prabhupada explains in this particular purport. One important thing is how the temples, Vishnu temples were existing much before. There is no question of telling that they are just new. Like we know Dwarka was existing, and when we now in this past time we know Vidura visited all the Vishnu temples, and we know our Jagannath Puri. One Prabhuji was calculating and said at least 15 lakhs. Some calculation is said that Jagannath Puri existed that time, like that. In this Kalpa, in the Satya Yuga, during the reign of Indradyumna, Jagannath temple was constructed. So the Jagannath deities, Jagannath temple, and the chakra on the Jagannath temple, that is existence some 15 lakhs years, some calculation he told, because it's one Kalpa, no, like that. That calculation he told. So there is no question of telling that they are the concept of construction of temples is a recent thing. That is one thing. Second thing is the concept of putting the chakra. That marks that it's a Vishnu temple. So in our ISKCON temples also on the top we put the Vishnu chakra. See, now when we go to Jagannath Puri, when we are going from Cuttack, we cross Cuttack, and from Cuttack it is 50 kilometers is Puri. And when we are driving, from when we are like 7, 8, 10, 12 kilometers away only, we can see the chakra actually. And people, devotees are longing when they are driving. Sometimes there'll be fog, but sometimes the sky is clear and they see like a chakra, I saw, it's all like that. And we offer obeisances because seeing the chakra is considered as seeing the Supreme Lord himself directly. And we know even in the past time of in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we know how Haridas Thakur, even now in Jagannath Puri, in Shri Kshetra Puri Dham, only Hindus are allowed. And that was there. And Haridas Thakur, although he is a Namacharya, he was born apparently in a Muslim family, and he was not allowed. And he was never disturbed by it, and he was completely convinced. One other reason is Lord Jagannath, Lord Chaitanya as Lord Jagannath himself was visiting him daily. But otherwise also he offered his dandavas very far, seeing the chakra. So seeing chakra is not different from seeing Jagannath himself. So that is so. And another interesting thing here, or Prabhupada mentions, is Vishnu has 4 symbols. What is that? Shankha, Chakra, Gadha, and Padma. 4 are there, of which our Lord Sri Krishna has only one, that is chakra, Sudarshan's chakra. So when he later, when during his Mathura pastimes, when he was killing demons, he used, that is the only weapon Krishna uses sometimes to kill demons. But otherwise, the other 3 weapons do not manifest during when he is in the Krishna form. And it is also told that Lord Chaitanya once during the Jagai Madhai pastime, when Madhai threw that pot to Nityanand Prabhu, Lord Chaitanya was completely enraged and immediately called for his chakra to devour Madhai. So he called for his chakra. That is the way, even once or twice in his pastimes, Lord Chaitanya invokes his chakra. That is, it is told in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So there's a few things which are told. Very interesting thing that has been told is in the beginning of the purport, where the point is Dvija, Deva, and Devas is called. That is in the Vishnu temples. Even now, if we see, the main sanctorium, that is Garbhagudi, is occupied by the main deity. That is, if it is Radha Krishna, or mostly in the old temples, it is a Vishnu deity, or Gopal Krishna, single standing Gopal Krishna. Deities are there, and all around there are chota, small kind of mantapas, where the different demigods are established, like some moon god or some Devi Devatas are there. They are to represent that they are in the service of the Supreme Lord Krishna, Supreme Lord Vishnu. That is the idea. And here it is told Dvija, Deva, and Devas. Devas are the demigods, and Dvija Deva is the sages. So the sages and the demigods work together in establishing the temples of Vishnu, so that the common person can get the benefit of worshipping the Supreme Lord Vishnu or Supreme Lord Krishna. So only it is very important to remember this, because there are devotees, there are atheists, or there are common people who say that why do we worship Vishnu only? I worship this and this demigod. The demigod is supreme. Some kind of arguments can come, but so here it is very clear that the devas, they work with the sages to establish the temples of Lord Vishnu in his various forms, because to establish the supremacy of the Supreme Lord Vishnu, he is a Supreme Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead, and when a conditioned soul takes shelter of the Supreme Lord, then he can also benefit and he can establish his eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord. So they aid in conditioned soul to take shelter of the Supreme Lord. So devas are there in the service of Vishnu, and they are not all in all. That is very clearly told by this particular purport and by this particular shloka, which we can use to refer if need be. So, and here in the beginning, it is told that how the Varnashrama Dharma is established, which Prabhupada has spoken in various different places for different for Varnas and Ashramas, so that based on the psychophysical nature, everybody gets an opportunity to serve and worship the Supreme Lord, Vishnu and Krishna. Okay, we'll move ahead. We are going to the last shloka for today. Yes, Mataji, tell anybody today.
Hare Krishna.
Now, Kishori Mataji, you can read.
Sure, Mataji, Hare Krishna. तत्स्तवतीव्रच्य सुराष्ट्रमुद्यं सौरिरमस्यान कुरुजाङ्गलाश्च कालेन
Gurujangalamscha. I will read you forward. You repeat.
Sure,
Okay, is that
Mataji.
all right?
Okay,
Tatasva
Mataji, sure.
ativrajya surashtram radham.
ततस्वतीव्रच्य
Ativrajya
सुराष्ट्रमुद्यं
surashtram sauviramatyan kurujangalamscha.
सौरिरमस्यान कुरुराङ्गलाश्च
Kurujangalamscha kalena tavad yamunam upetya.
कालेन तावद्यमुनामुपेत्य
Tatrodhavam bhagavatam dadarsha.
तत्रोद्धवं भागवतं ददर्श.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thereafter, he passed through very wealthy provinces like Surat, Sauvira, and Masya, and through Western India, known as Kuru Jangala. At last, he reached the bank of the Yamuna, where he happened to meet Uddhava, the great devotee of Lord Shri Krishna.
Okay.
Mataji, can I go?
No,
read
that
purport?
Shobha Mataji wanted to read. Shobha Mataji, you can read purport.
Hare Krishna.
Sure, Hare Krishna.
Dandavat Pranam Mataji, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Purport. The tract of land comprising about 100 square miles from modern Delhi to Mathura district in Uttar Pradesh, including a portion of the Gurgaon district in Punjab, East India, is considered to be the topmost place of pilgrimage in all of India. This land is sacred because Lord Krishna traveled through it many times. From the very beginning of his appearance, he was at Mathura in the house of his maternal uncle Kamsa, and he was reared by his foster father Maharaja Nanda at Vrindavana. There are still many devotees of the Lord lingering there in ecstasy in search of Krishna and his childhood associates, the gopis. It is not that such devotees meet Krishna face to face in that tract of land, but a devotee eagerly searching after Krishna is as good as his seeing him personally. How this so cannot be explained, but it is factually realized by those who are pure devotees of the Lord. Philosophically, one can understand that Lord Krishna and his remembrance are on the absolute plane, and that the very idea of searching for him at Vrindavana in pure God consciousness gives more pleasure to the devotees than seeing him face to face. Such devotees of the Lord see him face to face at every moment, as confirmed in Brahma Samhita. प्रेमाञ्जनच्युतित भक्तिविलोचनेन शान्तासधैव हृदयेषु विलोकयन्ति यं श्यामसुन्दरम् अचिन्त्यगुणस्वरूपं गोविन्दम् आदिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि. Those who are in ecstasy of love with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sham Sundara Krishna, see him always in their hearts due to love and devotional service rendered to the Lord. Both Vidura and Uddhava were such elevated devotees, and therefore they both came to the bank of Yamuna and met each other. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Mataji, Hari Bol.
Yeah. So, yeah, here Prabhupada says that the land of Vrindavana, how it is sacred, because Krishna performed his pastimes. First he performed his Balya Lila at Vrindavan, later he moved to Mathura and he had his pastimes there. That is one thing. And when we say Uddhava was Uddhava's pastime, we will know. When next we'll have Uddhava Gita and how the conversation with Vidura and Uddhava will happen. But otherwise, Uddhava had bodily features almost like Krishna only. And suddenly, if we see, Uddhava looked like Krishna also. And but Uddhava was very knowledgeable. And at times it is told that when Krishna was ruling in Dwaraka, he used to consult with the Uddhava also to take some decisions like that. So they were very close to each other, like very close to each other, and everything about Krishna Uddhava knew. But Uddhava was very knowledgeable. His approach was more of philosophical, and so when a situation comes where Krishna has come to Mathura for a long time and he has not gone back to Vrindavana, and his devotees in Vrindavana waiting for him. At that time, he sends Uddhava. And Uddhava goes, and Nanda Maharaj is crying, and Yashoda Mata is crying, and the Brajavasis are all crying. And Uddhava tries to give them a philosophical reasoning, telling through the scriptures that how Krishna is the Supreme Lord, and you don't have to he's the Supreme Lord, he's all there, he's in your heart also as Paramatma. Like that, he tries to give them. But Nanda Maharaj is like, oh, you have told now Krishna is the Supreme Lord, then it is more for us to pray, oh, Supreme Lord, he is not with us anymore. So he could not, Uddhava could not convince the Brajavasis, because they had that spontaneous love for the Supreme Lord, and they were ready to do anything for the Supreme Lord. So later, Uddhava, he actually praised that let him be a blade of grass in the land of Vrindavana, so that the devotees, the Brajavasis, may stamp on him and he may get some bhakti, because he started feeling that he actually does not have any love for Krishna by seeing the situation of Brajavasis. So here in this particular place, Prabhupada is glorifying that Vrajdham, that area, that Chaurasi Krosh area, Prabhupada is glorifying, where all the different pastimes of the Leelas of the Supreme Lord takes place. And we as devotees can, when we go there, we can aspire to have a little understanding and little glimpse through all the pastimes that has happened before. Okay, Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. We end here.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for that very enlightening session. If any devotees have any doubts, they can ask. Another 5 minutes. Is that okay, Mataji?
Some devotees have raised their hands.
Chintamani Prabhu, do you have any doubt, Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji. Pranam,
Please
Mataji.
ask
Nice class. Mataji, could you please explain again this conversation between Uddhava and Nanda Maharaj? What he was thinking about Uddhava and what Uddhava was thinking about.
No, actually, that will come. That will come in the later pages of Bhagavatam. It will come, but in short, it is like now Uddhava was filled with logical understandings. With logical understandings, he goes and approaches Nanda Maharaj, and Nanda Maharaj, they are all in great separation from Lord Shri Krishna, and because Lord, so then Uddhava says that you don't have to cry for Krishna so much. He is in your heart only. He is a Paramatma. He is a Supreme Lord. He is all pervading. He is everywhere. That kind of argument he gives, and Nanda Maharaj feels more and more separation, because he feels that we thought that he is our little boy Krishna and he has gone and he has left us. Now you are telling he is a Supreme Lord. Oh, that Supreme Lord who was with us, he is no more with us. So he cries more. So he could not understand only what Uddhava was trying to say is kind of meditate. Is there. He is there, all pervading. He is there, the Supreme Lord. You don't have to miss Krishna. But for them, it was not like that. Their love was in a different level altogether. So that is more in details. It will come during the Uddhava Leela. It will come in future pages of Bhagavad.
Okay, Mataji. Thank you.
Divya Gopu Mataji, do you have a doubt?
Yes, Mataji.
Please ask.
Mataji, as always, it's a wonderful session. Thank you so much, Mataji. Mataji, the question I had is, Vidura left Hastinapura before the Mahabharata war, right, Mataji?
Yes, yes.
But later also, I mean, I heard somewhere that he will take Dhritarashtra and Gandhari also, and he'll go. That will be. But in the middle, you talked about extension of the Yadu dynasty, right, Mataji? That happens actually some 36 years after the Mahabharata war is what I heard. So how is that linked to this, Mataji? During
yeah, what you are telling correct, because here in the purport it is written only that when he goes Prabhasa Kshetra. See, now there are two things that happens. One thing is when Duryodhana sends him away, Vidura goes, then he meets Maitreya Rishi, and during their conversation, during the conversation that talk comes about Dhritarashtra. And that time immediately he leaves the conversation. So in the third chapter, third canto, if you see that there is a discussion between Maitreya and Vidura, and there is abrupt closure for that, because immediately Vidura leaves that place and goes back to Hastinapura, and there he delivers his. By then everything is over, and Dhritarashtra and Gandhari are in the kingdom of Yudhishthira. And that time he told that, what are you still here? And he takes them back, and that forest fire happens, and they leave their body. Who? Dhritarashtra and Gandhari leave their body. So that is over. And then Vidura also again goes off.
Okay.
And that is the time actually he meets Uddhava, and that is the time at his Prabhasa Kshetra. How exactly it has come here, I don't know. But what you are saying is correct, because later when Krishna is about to finish his pastime, he has annihilated the Yadus actually. Means
that is when he'll meet Uddhava. After Uddhava only, he will be.
No, Uddhava meeting will happen after Maushala Leela. Now Uddhava, what has happened is Maitreya Rishi was there when Krishna was talking to Uddhava, that Uddhava Gita happened. That Maitreya Rishi is also there. He is little away, but. So when Vidura comes and meets Uddhava, Uddhava says that means there is an etiquette. Now Uddhava is much younger to Vidura comparatively, like that. So he says that Maitreya Rishi had also heard. Yes. So you accept Maitreya Rishi as a spiritual master, and you hear from Maitreya Rishi, like that. Uddhava tells to Vidura, and Vidura ends up hearing with Maitreya Rishi, and Uddhava goes to Badrikash.
Acha, okay. Yeah, thank you, Mataji.
There is some chronological difference. What you said is correct, but essentially this is what happened.
Okay, so after Yadu dynasty has left,
after that after Maushala Leela, actually Vidura Maitreya conversation happens. After that only it happens, because Uddhava directs Vidura to Maitreya, and he goes to Badrikash.
Okay, so by that time only Dhritarashtra and his wife.
That's all over. That's all over.
It's all over. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. Thanks so much.
Divya Prema Radhika Mataji, do you have any doubt, Mataji?
Yes,
please ask.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you for the wonderful session, Mataji. Mataji, I see in some of the Vishnu temples, we see the demigods are placed in around the main deity. After giving arati to the main deity, they go to the demigods, they give them, and again they show to the Supreme Lord, Mataji. Is that correct, or we to follow the same?
Exactly, I don't know that. But in Jagannath Puri also, Arti, at least I don't know, but Prasad, Jagannath's Mahaprasad goes to Vimala Devi, because it becomes Mahaprasad after that, Mahaprasad. And then Jagannath it becomes Prasad. Then Vimala Devi also takes, like that. So the Prasad goes, and then we get, like Mahaprasad is what we get. So the idea is demigods get after the Supreme Lord. The worship also is like that. Arti or telling, after for Vishnu, they show it to the demigods. And again they show back to Vishnu. Then internally in that mantra, there is a little difference maybe. But for us, when we see, we feel like here also they're showing, there also they're showing, there also they are showing. It could be like that also. I don't know.
Okay. How in ISKCON Mataji, how do they do?
In ours, how it is first we show to our spiritual master picture, which is in a more lower position than the main altar. So the pujaris, they just show it, kind of taking permission from them to worship the Supreme Lord, because it is a pure devotees who can worship, but we are now just trying to do that service with permission of the spiritual master, like that. That's the idea. So we show it to spiritual master and Srila Prabhupada, and then we show it to the main deities. Then if it is Jagannath Baldev, this with them, then we have Shaligrama, then we have Sudarshan Chakra, then we have the Nashinga deity, if they are there in your temple, like that. Then we show to Gaurnitai, then we show to Panchatattva, then we show it to Tulsi Maharani, then we show it to the Guru Parampara, then we show it to Srila Prabhupada, and at the last we do that Aarti to spiritual master. That is over. Everybody is over. Then we do that. Now, after all that is over, then we have time to take that Aarti comes. So we first show it to the spiritual, to Srila Prabhupada, because in the temples it is Srila Prabhupada. So we show it to Srila Prabhupada, and then we take. So idea is first we took permission, then the last worship was given back to the spiritual master, and that Aarti is taken first by Srila Prabhupada, that in a devotee kind of counts, this one. Then we all take that.
Yeah. Okay, Mataji, thank you.
Ramakrishnan Prabhu, do you have any doubt, Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Mataji, the Jagannath temple, when it was constructed, in which yuga?
Satya Yuga.
Satya Yuga.
No, the construction currently what you are seeing, no, that if you see the stone part of it, that is told it is like 1,500 years back, like that it is told. Because by the architecture is that particular architecture during that reign, it is 500, 600 AD, something like that they say, or in the, something that time 1,000 years back it is constructed. But the Jagannath deity established, and then the worship of Jagannath, the structure was changed. Okay. Because of the geographical situations, but the worship of Jagannath deity, that one concept is there, no? That is like some 15 lakhs years behind it seems, because Kali Yuga is 4,32,000 years. Uske pehle we had Dwapara, then we had Treta. So how much? 4 plus 4 lakh something, then 8 lakh something, it's 12. Then no, he told 15 lakhs. He told. Then he said at the end of Satya Yuga, when Indradyumna Maharaj was in Satya Yuga, but by the time he goes to Brahma and for a moment and he comes back here, already next Yuga has come. That has happened. So then it was established. So he said some 15 lakhs years before Jagannath deity is established. Like that one calculation they said. All right.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Any more doubts, devotees? If we have no doubts, we can end the session with Vaishnav Pranam. Thank you so much, Mataji. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhyaivacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranams.
Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Dandavat Pranams.
Mataji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Pranam.
With your permission, shall I end the session, Mataji?